there's this thing that has been bothering me. And the day we were driving to Kilimambogo, we spoke on it kidogo. This concept of retirement. You know, you slave all your youthful and most resourceful years. You know, like now I'm able to do, like Saizi, we are doing everything now. We have that energy. We are young, you know, we're still creative, we have that energy. So we slave now to make, you know, to build for someone else. And then when we're about 60, there's a promise of we'll give you a check. Now go do what you love
what to you do. Want to do.
You're 60. Hapa kuna kitu inaitwa multitasking.
Naona.
Kila mtu ako camera, light, sound.
Kila kitu.
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you, man.
So happy to have you here.
Thanks, man.
Excited for the discussion we are going to have.
Thank you.
I know off camera si uongea, and it's always like, unajua tukipatana unaniambia, "Oh, yo, there's this thing I saw online. You have to watch this." You know, I read this, dude.
Yeah, man.
And I think that is nice. So maybe today we can get a chance to share some of those things. You know, to know si uongea too, and then it's like, okay, maybe someone else could use this information.
True.
And to begin, there's this thing that has been bothering me. And the day we were driving to Kilimambogo, we spoke on it kidogo. This concept of retirement. You know, you slave all your youthful and most resourceful years. You know, like now I'm able to do, like Saizi, we are doing everything now. We have that energy. We are young, you know, we're still creative, we have that energy. So we slave now to make, you know, to build for someone else. And then when we're about 60, there's a promise of we'll give you a check. Now go do what you love.
What you want to do.
You're 60. You know, so that thing imekuwa tu ikiring in my mind sana. And I'm just thinking of how many young people that are in different professions, especially because of the mindset of the white collar thing. And their interests lie in very different things. But they have to toil, put in hours, you know, build these big corporations, you know, work for these big corporations. And ndio kitu meko kinisumbua sana. You know, this concept of retirement.
You know, I honestly, first of all, I have to say, you know, you told me you're coming to have conversation. Then I see you've pulled out an iPad. I know this is going to be serious. Na mbona watu wengine upewa drinks zingine, mimi napewa chai.
Acha nikwambie kwa nini. Hizo drinks zingine, kuna watu walikuwa express interest. Tukasema, acha tuzieke. And then wakanyamaza. So sisi, tukasema anyway, we'll cheers to
it's
tea.
It's highly appreciated though.
Ilikuwa inaina alisema ukitaka chai unaenda
Rimuru. Kwa Mary.
Kwa Mary.
Anyway, yeah, I mean, it's right. And it's something I've questioned a lot. I personally don't believe that any human being was brought into this world to do one thing and then, you know, retire and go do what you need to do. I think that was a system that was created by the capitalist system just so that we can work for systems. However, I have to say that there's people who are made for that life. For example, people who say are passionate about numbers, they've probably never dreamt of doing anything else, which is not a bad thing also. It's okay to be an accountant. It's fine. It's okay. It's perfectly okay.
Everyone needs an accountant for any sort of business.
For any sort of business. What I don't agree with is someone being in the same space for an extremely long time, especially for somebody else, at the expense of your own thing. Because a lot of times we, like you say, and rightfully so, that we give our best years to other people. I've met a lot of older corporate people who like ask you, unajua ile nini sijui ile kampuni mimi ndio nilianza, trying to get their validity or validation from things that they did for other corporates or which is not entirely a bad thing, but it can't be that you spend your whole life
doing
things for others. And then now when you're old and when you're really supposed to be enjoying your life, is that now you want to start building your own thing. Even though there's people who have discovered their passions, like the guy for KFC, started KFC late in his life.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The old man we see in all
everything. Captain Sanders.
Now you'll have to see my face
every day. That guy started KFC, I think, in his 70s or 80s.
Okay.
So it's not a bad thing. But the thing I don't agree with is someone staying in a certain job while dreaming about doing their own thing. I think we're so scared
of... found your passion.
Yeah.
But then because these guys give you a sense of security, you're like, okay, up at least I know my rent is secured. I know this is secured. So let me stay here.
But is it really security?
It's not, because it could end any day, you know.
It could. And I mean, speaking as someone who has experienced being fired before, you get to learn very quickly that you are really just, and I tell people, usiwairinga juu uko na job fulani.
Replaceable.
You're replaceable like immediately.
Yeah.
And to a company, especially to big companies, you are really a staff number. And against that is productivity, is how much are they paying you and how much are we getting from this person. Because if a company can pay you 1 meter, just think about it.
How much
are they making from you?
Yes.
I've emceed events, because I do a lot of corporate MC work, where at the end of the year, companies reward people for things. And some of the figures you hear, you're like, what? You know, this individual saved us so much by leveraging supplier relationships and saved the company $2-3 million. And then they give you a plaque bonus or something. Or, you know, so yeah, I don't know if people will ever stop to think, what if I did this same thing for myself or for the things that I love? Yeah.
And I think even just within the same line, when you said there's people who are just built for that.
Yeah.
My issue with that is having this culture in the corporate system where the quote-unquote bosses just want to see you in the office. Whether you have anything, whether you have something you're doing that day or not. Or even whether you could come in the morning, by 11, your tasks for the day are done. But you have to be in that office the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Like you'd rather be there on your computer just browsing, you know, watching Chaxy alikuwa na nani hii wiki, than as opposed to, this is what you're supposed to do today.
Yeah.
Come do it. After that, you're not one thing as a human being, you know.
You can never be.
Go do your passion. Develop as a human being. You know, be happy. Because when you're happy and satisfied, then I'm getting even more value from you.
True.
As opposed to keeping people in these offices.
You have to ask yourself, like, what is value for me? What does value look like for me? If for you it's just money in the bank, then perfect. I mean, a lot of us sometimes do jobs that may not necessarily have as much money, but the sense of satisfaction that it brings is so overwhelmingly so dope that sometimes you're willing to forfeit the money, at least in the short term. I find like a lot of times, sometimes for the sense of security, which for a lot of people equals money, they are willing to forfeit that satisfaction, and you know, it does something to your brain. It does something to your life. It does something to the person that you are. Just doing things that you just love, that you would do naturally even without being paid. I think it's important to just find a balance between both, because your life can't be just work. Even for those who are doing what they love, you must have something that that helps you to disconnect. Say, for example, if you're an artist, it's impossible, I'd say, to just create without sort of experiencing life on a certain different dimension. Because experiencing life in that different dimension helps you to create, helps you to relate to people, that you're able to tell people's stories even better and with more clarity. Otherwise, you'll just be singing nonsense, or you know, it's just singing what you think people want to hear, but it may not necessarily be it.
Yeah, even when you are least inspired.
Yeah.
You just want to keep doing it.
You just want to keep doing it. Yeah, because
it's okay to take a break.
You become a factory.
Yeah, that's what.
You become a factory. Bee. Yeah. Even bees they rest.
They die after 40 days.
They rest. You know? But even those 40 days are very well used. You know, bees, apparently, they sleep for about 8 hours.
Yeah.
You know, so they also rest, and also they work extremely hard. So I really believe in working hard and play hard.
And playing hard.
Do things for the sake of doing things. Learn new things for the sake of learning new things, because you also never know where that could lead. And we've discussed this before.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, it's so important. And that's one thing I'm learning, especially from my younger, I have 2 kids, so my daughter is 2 now, is that she does what she wants to do. and she's never scared to learn a new thing. And that's how I got into beekeeping, because just out of curiosity, and it's always good to just know. Yeah. I believe. Yeah. No random nonsense.
No random skills.
Yeah.
Because no kind of skills. Because even the thing with the way the system works is, skills is what you monetize.
Yeah.
If you can make this seat,
yeah,
then you're able to make money off it.
Yeah.
If you know how to DJ, then there's a club that needs your service.
Yeah.
That's skill. You know, if you know how to use Excel nicely,
yeah,
maybe PwC needs someone who does that.
And you'll never go hungry.
If you have a skill, then it's hard for you to go hungry.
Yeah.
If you actually work. So I work for Red Bull, a beautiful organization.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm bringing this up because of how a conversation I had before I officially joined the company. And I want to bring this back to even outfits.
Yeah.
Kuna watu uniuliza unafanyanga kazi kweli? You know, they see me, I dress the way I want.
And pia mimi nilijiuliza hiyo swali mara mingi.
So, interestingly, when I did my interview, and I was in second year at the time.
Yeah.
So the guy, because it was a Skype interview there elsewhere. So the guy asks me, will you be willing to shave your hair if we gave you this position?
Yeah.
And then nikanyamaza kidogo, then I was like, no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Because one, in the back of my mind, I'm like, kwanza I don't even have a guarantee.
Yeah.
And even if I do, I don't think I'd want to change who I am or what I like.
Yeah.
And you know, they gave me the job and said, we like you because you are not willing to compromise who you are. And that means then you're going to give us more value. So you present yourself the way you are, as long as you get the job done. You walk to the Red Bull office, bro. People in shorts and what?
I love that.
And guys are kicking ass. You're still number 1 in the world and even in the country. So, and that brings me to, I meet people from different companies who do the same thing I do. Bro, they're all suited up in a tie. It's a hot day.
Yeah.
My job involves moving up and down the whole day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, because they have something called a dress code. So these are just some of the things I struggle with. Like, is this really essential? Like, does it affect how productive you are? Does it affect what you bring into the company? You know, so that white collar thing, sana now. Like, do we sometimes even take a backseat and question why?
I think generally in life, we miss out on experiencing the true person and the true value of a person because we want them to fit in a box. Say, for example, you find, and this, like I was saying, just also from experiencing corporate MC work, you find that the person you meet at work and then the person you meet outside of work, it's like
2 personas.
It's multiple personality. It's really split personalities. So there's a way that you fail to get the most out of people because you expect them to be a certain way. I find like you experience the best version of people. Like I find like I experience a very dope version of you because you are who you are. And thank God, you know, you're very lucky to have a job that allows you to have that, to just express and be who you are. It doesn't mean that it affects your productivity. If anything, I think it affects your productivity positively.
It does.
Because you're not feeling like...
I have to put up with this other person.
You know, like you have to talk a certain way. You have to... You know, like you've met people who, for example, cannot express themselves in English or whatever, but... When you patia that guy Jobo, say if it's say production or whatever, that guy delivers like crazy.
Yeah.
Or like you say someone comes in shorts. I'm not saying like, granted companies want to be perceived or looked at a certain way. I'm not saying like everybody now can wear shorts or whatever.
Yeah.
But there has to be a way that you allow people to be themselves. Because I've also like sometimes, nilikwambia ile story karibu nirapiwe maze job MC. Hey, my guy.
And I thought that was a brilliant job.
It was so crazy. So yeah, let me just tell you, I was emceeing at a corporate gig. It was out in Amboseli, and that night we were supposed to have karaoke, and I said this is something karaoke, which was making fun of one of their brands.
Yeah.
And the whole room, we were actually sitting by the fire, just went quiet. So me, with my normal excitement, I was like, yeah, and I said it again. Hey, let me tell you, those guys just stopped me and they told me, you guy, that's not acceptable. It wasn't like a rude joke. I wasn't being rude. I was honestly just trying to lighten up.
But it was brilliant.
But do you know, I can tell you for free, the rest of that weekend, because it was a weekend thing, they didn't experience the best version of Jason.
Yeah.
Because now all the time I was just, choosing my words.
You are very censored.
I was thinking about everything I said. Even when I spoke to people, I was very guarded. I can only say I was paid, but did they get value? No. Yeah.
And they've never hired you again.
It's okay. I honestly don't mind. I don't mind.
But just looking at the same discussion, this white collar thing that was forced on us.
Yeah.
I don't think we had a choice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And something that was something you mentioned to me interestingly in the same trip to Kilimambogo was how the colonizer used the missionary play bad cop and good cop.
Yeah.
So these other guys whipping people and enslaving
this
them.
One is telling you.
And then there's this one come to if you come to church,
we
can protect you from that.
If you forget your way of life,
if you forget your way of life,
if you forget this Mauchawi of yours, come and experience the way.
The way. Our culture was Uchawi. But there's this person called God.
Jesus.
There's this white man.
When you think about colonization, a lot of times people think about just land and occupying like our space. But people don't think about what it did like to our perception of self, how we live life. Think about it. Like if you think even about like the corporate culture, where long time it was the norm. You leave your famu first.
See them over the weekend.
Weekend or once a year. For a long time you had to go to shags once a year. Christmas, that's when most of our parents were seeing their parents. Because your dad had to be out.
Working somewhere.
Working. Think about the same thing today. You start a job, say, at 25. 25, maybe by 27 you have kids. But now you're so overworked that by the time you're 60, they're throwing a kabash for you with a kaplak saying 30, 40 years of service, that you've done a wonderful job. But in those 30, 40 years, your most important
hours or time
that was supposed to be spent with family,
raising a kid,
was taken away. So now here you are with your 25, 27-year-old kid that now you're trying to rebond with. So all those years you've given to somebody else in exchange for what?
The concept of retirement.
The concept of retirement.
A promise at the end of it.
Yeah.
And the promise comes with rules. Like if you there's things if you do, then maybe your pension is affected.
Yeah.
It's not a guarantee.
You guys, it's crazy. But think about this. In the in the olden days, your dad could be whoever he needed to be. Either he was the locksmith of the community, he was the guy who understood. Say like now for me, I'm in my village, I'm the beekeeper of the community. I'm the guy people call, but I don't have to be away from home for me to be able to do my job, which is a skill, which the community appreciates. I'm able to be home with my family, I'm able to be home with my kids, and I feel like I'm spending enough time. But now imagine, we're the beekeeper of the community, but you have to be away from your farm, just so that you're useful to other people. That concept I struggle with. And a lot of jobs, unfortunately, that's how they're structured, that you give us the best of your years, the best of your time, the best of... So you find like Maze, you go home, Gioni at 9, 10, you're tired, you leave early before the kids have, so you just have like a kasato or a Sunday afternoon, which you also need to rest. And then that's when you're trying to take the kids to the mall, but you're still on your phone the whole time, thinking about emails. And I think that's why Monday became such a big deal. Because
they've given you a taste of away from work.
Exactly.
Like, fuck. It's been literally, it's a weekend, but it's been like 30 seconds, no 30 minutes. So I'm like, nah.
I don't know how you're going to fix that. I really don't.
Because I'm like, even the amount of cultural eradication that the white man had to intentionally do. Because you see, you can't change people if you can't change how they think. So we begin by changing how you think. All these things you've believed, now these things will give them words. Black magic.
You know, your perception is your reality.
Exactly.
We could be seeing the exact same thing, two people, like we could be standing here. Maybe you're seeing, wow, this is a beautiful home, this guy must be, but sayo mimi naona mtu ako na mortgage, ni shida tupu. So it's your perception forms your reality. And your reality basically is how you perceive life and how you perceive things. That had to be worked on. I mean, I have to give the white guys, you know,
hey, bro,
marks
they did a good job.
They did a good
Sometimes
job.
hata kama unafanya vitu usifanye nusu. These guys.
Yeah.
As in, they planned so ahead. They were very systematic. Like even up to date, bro, we're still a colonial state.
It's
and
crazy.
we think we're independent.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
As in, they did such a good job.
It's crazy. Even how you just
like
perceive
annoyed,
like you do not deserve.
Yeah.
You do not deserve to be in certain places. You do not deserve to achieve certain things.
Yeah.
Even like the standards of success. Say, for example, you know, I'm always happy for someone to get like a Grammy nominations or something like that. Don't get me wrong, and I'm not taking away from that. It's a big deal. But what about awards that come from home? You know, why do we value things that come from other people? Why do we celebrate people so much when they're celebrated by outsiders, by, you know, I mean, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not taking away from those big things. They are big things by all standards. But why can't we have our own? And do I have to wait for your podcast to be on Netflix for me to say, hey, Chaxy, you're figured. When did that become the standard? Why can't we have like Kenya podcast or something that we celebrate our own stories, our own way of. I want to be able to discuss things like Kalongo on a platform where you know the one thing I've realized, especially because I've traveled extensively in Africa, in as much as we are very different, we are so similar. We are like there is no difference between Kenya and Botswana. It's
just the imaginary borders.
It's just the imaginary borders that were put for us, but really we are experiencing more or less life on the same way. It's what Thai people would say, same but different. So there's things that you would talk about, like, and that's why like you would see memes from South Africa and they are so funny. Yeah,
you
like,
relate 100%.
Super hilarious.
It's the same things,
we all have that drawer under the kitchen for plastic papers. Like that's something you'll find across the whole of Africa.
That shows you how similar we were before we were divided.
We are so similar. We are so similar.
Yeah.
But I think that the colonizers really were able to change how we perceive each other. We think we are so different, but we are not. We really are the same.
100%.
100%.
You know something else the colonizer did that has also been bothering me a lot is now the introduction of religion for what it is now. You know, because my background is Christian.
Yeah.
So Christianity, I think this is something I was discussing with Tafari. Christianity promises this thing called, if you live according to what God wants, then they promise something called eternity. Bro, my mind cannot process forever. You know what? We were discussing about billions with Erosh here. I'm like, I don't even know how many figures those are. So if you talk to me about eternity, my mind can't wrap around the idea of forever.
You know, it's the same thing you're talking about retirement.
Yeah.
It's that promise of tomorrow, of a better tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I think religion, one thing religion has done is given too much power to somebody else, not realizing that the power is actually within you to do things. Yeah. Say, for example, we say like, Mungu siku moja atanipatia job. Granted, it's nice and it's true, but you have that power within you and you must recognize that and not be apologetic about it. To be able to network, you can be able to pull strings for yourself.
Yeah.
The one thing I don't like about religion is that it puts too much power on the outside rather than on the inside. We don't realize our power as a humanity. We don't realize, like, our spirituality was basically based upon do not do unto others what you wouldn't do to yourself. Say, for example, simple rules like in Shags. We know you can kula from someone's farm, just don't beba. If you're hungry, you kula. You see that
usiende kuharvest yake
usiende ku nini. And if you realize, even like our spirituality kitambo is that we are not trying to make billions. We're just trying to be of use to the society and to be able to feed your family. The concept of tomorrow, you know, like what we were saying, everything that you've done has actually led you to this moment that we are right now. And the more we learn to live for now, No, I'm not saying waste your money. You know, that also has been very misconceived that wewe piga sherehe leo. No. It's about living the fullest. Like when I'm here at this, when we're recording this,
you're present.
Be present,
yeah.
and you know, enjoy the moment, enjoy it, and you know, be present, listen. I mean, yeah. But, you know, rather than that, we have now started living for kesho. You know, you're always like, kesho niko na meeting, kesho nene I'm supposed to, what do the numbers look like? So we're always living for something that's there tomorrow. And I think if you talk to a lot of old people, in retrospect, a lot of them wish that they were more present, like, you know, for their kids, wish I enjoyed those moments. And it happens to us, especially when you lose a close friend. You realize there were so many moments that
I could have just
were
been
beautiful
there.
moments that we should have really enjoyed, but because we were always worried about what's coming tomorrow, what, you realize when you lose a friend, like, wow, that was actually how I wish I knew. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So still in the line of religion, so you became a Buddhist.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
You know, so I grew up in church, which is not, it's not a bad thing. But the one thing I always say, and I'm super, super grateful for, I'm always very grateful for my late mom. My mom, like, gave me the freedom to be whoever, you know, like at some point we were living in Westlands. I'll tell you the story. It's an interesting story. But, you know, for us, church was the one that was available when we wake up. So like on Sunday, when we were living in Westi, tukiamka gedha fulani tunajua tunaenda hapo Consolata.
Okay.
If tukiamka gedha ingine tunajua itakuwa St. Andrews.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you know, my mom never brought me at religious. In fact, actually going to Pentecostal church, Ambanu took myself at the age of 16, and I became a very, very active member. And I remember, like, she never ever said to me, you know, you must do this. No. My mom allowed me that freedom to just be. So, and around 8 years ago, I started going to the Buddhist temple, actually, because it was a very tumultuous time in my life. I was going through so much. I just lost a job. You guys had to go back to scratch. And while I found, like, church was, let me say this without, for lack of a better way to express it, church was very noisy. Yeah, it was always like, hey, you know, it was always like hype. But then I'd go back and I'd be like, it was nice, but it wasn't life-changing for me. It wasn't like, and I say that without being disrespectful to church, because I know it works for a lot of people.
Sure.
But one day a friend of mine who I discovered goes to the Buddhist temple was like, oh, wow, that's interesting. Can I come? So I went, and for 8 years, so I discovered, like, wow, here it's very different. It's very quiet.
Chilled,
it's extremely quiet. It's more introspective. You know, you spend your time meditating. We talk a lot about, you know, there is no concept of sin. It's a concept of karma. Like, what you give is what you get.
Law of attraction.
Yeah, there is no, there's no concept of, like, God. It's like,
wewe
ukifanya hivi utapata hivi,
utatomeka forever,
you know what I mean?
Nakupenda bado.
Yeah. It's more of what you give is what you get, and Buddhism really encourages you to look inwards, to look at your intentions, to look at who you are, to look at other people, how you would see yourself. So, I mean, when I look at you, I see a human being, and I see, you know...
Adopt human being.
Okay. I see that guy, Chaxy. So it wasn't... I didn't actually change until, like, about a year ago. So I started going to the temple, and luckily I told my mom about it, and she was like, wow, if that works for you, I'm really, really happy for you. Yeah. So I'm really, really, really thankful for my mom. And just that she taught me that, one, in life hakuna timetable. Do what you want when you want. Do not go out of your way to hurt other people. Do not go out of your way to be hurtful. Try to live in peace most importantly, with yourself. And then, you know, naturally that leads to you living in peace with other people. Because a lot of times what we are fighting is ego. It's kwani unafikira wewe mimi ni nani? If don't buy a Range Rover to prove a point to people. Buy it because you want to, not necessarily. And I think when you work on self, it somehow starts to affect other people positively. I've learned to look at my kids and let them express themselves as they want. A lot of times when we teach kids that you cannot be unhappy, we're always trying to control them. I mean, allow them to express themselves, allow them to be just who they really want to be. So Buddhism has
helped to shape that.
Has helped to shape that for me a lot.
I like what you said, that now you see people for who they are.
Yeah.
That means there's less projection of your expectations on other people. So you allow people to present themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a thing that we have to constantly unlearn, because we've been socialized to do that. You know, me, I see you, you're not smiling, I think you're having a bad day.
Yeah.
Maybe you could do something.
I know how tiring that is.
Yeah.
And constantly trying to figure out, or even consistently trying to shape your perception, or consistently trying to shape other people's perception of yourself. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, these guys, watanitambua, watanijua. That's a lot of work, Mazi. It's too much. It's too much
People
work.
have things to do, bro.
Mazi, it's too much. I can't look broke. Dude, Mazi, I find there's a lot more to life. And you experience the best versions of people when you just allow them to just be.
Yeah.
And actually, if you sit with people, aside from the title, aside from... when you see beyond those things and you really get to see the person for who they are, I think you really have a dope experience, even in terms of the kind of conversations you have. Because in as much as we are very different, we are also very similar. We have very similar struggles. We have, we have similar ones. We all want to do well in life. But I don't know. We all...
It is what it is, man. It's a lot to unpack, and it's not just one thing,
Yeah.
But man, sadly we have to wrap this.
Oh man, we were just getting
I
started.
know!
But we
It's
have
getting
lights.
dark.
We have lights.
Unasemaje? Shadows, yeah.
Oh, we have
so
shadows
it's fine.
as well.
But now, anyway, the good thing is, what I like to say is conversations don't end,
They never end.
Leo ni hivi, a week from now we could still record this, and there's so much to cover. But now, like lastly, just for today, I want you to talk to me about two things. You went back to school at 40.
Yeah.
So talk to me about the decision to go back to school, what you're studying, and how in the process you discovered this passion of beekeeping and this thing that you didn't know you're going to love so much, and just how that has changed your life now. So
about school, it was something, first of all, that I always felt like I owed my mom. Not to say that I went to school for her. So my background is, I worked in aviation for a long time, and
Can you begin kwanza? Broadcasting?
Yeah, I've done a lot of jobs.
Broadcasting, aviation, comedy, beekeeper now.
Yeah, okay, so when I was supposed to be, I made a choice.
Acting.
I made a choice between going back to school for my degree when I was 23, 22. Okay. At the time, we didn't have money. I knew mother was struggling. A diploma that should have taken me 2 years took me 3 years. So I got an opportunity to go study in SA. So my mom told me, you can either do a degree, finish your degree, or if this thing for SA works for you, you go, but here are the pros and cons. Another thing I love about my mom. Options, There's blue pill and red pill. And this one has this consequence, this one has this opportunities and consequences. So anyway, I didn't finish my degree when I was supposed to. So I went to acting school, came back, worked as a news anchor, sports anchor. KBC. Yeah. But then also the opportunity to travel came, and I worked as a flight attendant for 8 years. So I got the rare opportunity to interact with people from very, very different and diverse walks of life. And also not just to interact with them, to experience their life in their home ground. So like I can tell you, I can almost understand when I talk to a Nigerian, now it's very different. I see them from the perspective of Lagos and the hassles and what Lagos is like. So recently I was like, since I have a love for people and culture, now I travel for culture. I love to experience people's lives. I've stayed with monks in Thailand in a temple. Last year, 2 years ago, remember I went to Shashamane.
Said you Rastafarians.
Went to live with the Rasta people. So that led me also to want to study people more. So at the age of 39 last year, I decided to go back and study anthropology, which is a study of humanity in totality. And it's really just for the fun of it, really just there is no information that you learn that goes to waste. So it wasn't for me to make myself more marketable in the job market. If it does that for me, great. And like I said, aside from just being in school, think about I'm like a 40-year-old with like 23-year-olds in the same class.
19-year-olds.
And 19-year-olds. Boss, I learned so, forget even coursework. From my classmates, I learned so much, including,
Yeah.
Mad. Yeah, so, and I'm very intentional about being a student and enjoying student life. I mean, I didn't get that experience when I should have. But now in fact, next year I might run for Mr. EON.
Oh, wow. You really should, bro.
I should, yeah, because
why not?
I'm a student.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, so being a first-year student, it's interesting and I'm loving it. Forget even for the final paper, the degree, just for the experience of what it is. Yeah. So in life, there's no timetable. Go to school when you want to.
Do what you want.
Do whatever you want. Yeah. So, yeah, and all those things now have led me to beekeeping, which started out as a venture trying to survive. I was selling honey maze just to survive.
Yeah.
And then now the more I read about bees, like, Atiatia, you mean? Yeah. What? Yeah. There is no honey in this Kenya. We've been taking bad honey. What? And now here I am. Every week I am somewhere with beehives and actually consulting for people. So yeah, I think I like to live my life like it's an improv comedy, that you just go where life leads you, that you don't try to structure your life so much that you miss out on the wonderful things that you're actually experiencing at the moment. Yeah.
Basically allow yourself to live.
Allow yourself to
live.
Yeah.
Just live. Kuna so much conditioning and all, but just live. Just live.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, bro.
Thanks,
this
bro.
was really dope, man.
It's always nice talking to you.
Same here, bro. Like I just love it. So we'll definitely do something else. Thank you so much for honoring my call.
Thank you
for being here and sharing
it's an honor.
The experience.
It's an honor.
Bro,
and I tell you all the time, you inspire me a lot. All these things you do.
Thank you.
Maze,
take the flowers.
You really inspire, and I think you should keep doing it. It also just shows, you can start something small. I think our biggest fear is to start small and how people perceive us. But like I always say, the beauty of starting small is that you learn things that you would have never learned otherwise. For example, the first show we did, and I told you this, first show had 100 people or something.
Yeah.
And guess what we forgot? Wristbands.
Wristbands. Not tickets?
Not tickets, wristbands, like at the entrance. Like mtu akilipa, we don't even have a custom, nothing. So imagine if we wanted to start big and had 1,000 people outside, and then you don't have wristbands. Now, these days, even when you organize shows, first thing we will never, ever forget is wristbands.
Even before you have the stage and lighting, you have wristbands.
Wristbands, because that you can only learn from starting small.
Yeah.
I call them small, big lessons.
Those are teachable moments for you guys.
Very, very, very.
Asante, bro.
Very.
Man, our drinks are over. My drinks are over.
Cheers to maji.
Cheers to maji.
Encourage people to drink a lot of water.
Bless you, bro.
Bless,
Thank
man.
You.